So you're here because you've probably been told those words, the ones that just make your heart sink, that you've hit a dead end with your chronic pain. The map they gave you, well, it just ran out of road. What we're going to do here is figure out why, and then we're going to draw a new map, a new blueprint, and we're going to do it together. Look, hearing those words, it feels like a door slamming shut, a final judgment. I get it, but I want you to try and see it differently. This is not the end of the line. It's actually a pivot, a huge turning point. It's the exact moment you have to stop being just a passenger on this wild ride and grab the steering wheel. The old ways didn't work. So what? That just means it's time for a new game plan. All right, so where do we even start? Well, the first big hurdle, it's often not even what's going on inside your body. It's the system itself. It's like being dropped into a maze with no map. Believe me, I've seen this play out more times than I can count. You get bounced around from one specialist to the next, and each one is stuck in their own little world, their own silo. The neurologist, they're just looking at your nerves. The ortho, just the bones. The rheumatologist, inflammation. You know, every single one of them is an expert on a tiny piece of the puzzle, but nobody, and I mean nobody, is looking at the whole picture on the box lid. And that picture, that's you. And this is what that looks like in the real world. You go from the back guy to the foot doctor to who knows where next. And what do you get? A stack of conflicting reports, different opinions, a handful of new prescriptions. It's just a completely disconnected, frustrating journey. You end up holding all these random puzzle pieces with no idea how they're supposed to fit together. So, what's the fix for this mess? Well, what should happen, what all the evidence points to, is a multidisciplinary team. A whole crew, doctors, surgeons, therapists, psychologists, all in the same room, metaphorically speaking, all talking to each other, all working from the same playbook. That's the dream, right? But the reality? It's really, really rare. And that gap, that chasm between the dream and the reality, that's where people fall through the cracks. Okay, so that's the outside problem, the broken system. But let's shift gears and look inside. What's actually happening in your body that's keeping this pain cycle going? And to understand that, we need to talk about something I call the broken fire alarm. First things first, and this is absolutely critical, chronic pain is not the same as acute pain. They are two totally different animals. You know, acute pain is useful. You touch a hot stove, it tells you to pull your hand back. It's a warning. But with chronic pain, that whole warning system goes haywire. The pain stops being a symptom of something else and becomes the disease itself. It literally rewires your nervous system. Now, the scientific term for this state is central sensitization. Fancy words, but what does it mean? It means your entire nervous system, your brain, your spinal cord, the whole shebang, gets wound up and stuck in high alert mode. It's become overprotective. It's like a guard dog that used to only bark at burglars, but now it barks at mail carriers, squirrels, even a leaf blowing across the yard. And that brings us back to my favorite analogy, the broken fire alarm. Your pain system is supposed to be a fire alarm. It warns you of actual danger. But with central sensitization, it's faulty. It's screaming at full blast when there's no fire at all, or maybe just a little bit of toast burning in the toaster. The original reason for the pain, the injury, might be completely healed, but that alarm is still blaring. Here's another way to think about it. It's like the volume knob on your pain system is cranked all the way up to 11, and the knob broke off. So the goal of modern pain management isn't to just find a hammer and smash the alarm. It's much smarter than that. It's about figuring out how to get a grip on that volume knob and slowly, carefully turn it down. We're not trying to get to silence, just a normal volume. So the big question is, how do we actually do that? How do we turn down the volume? Well, this is where we get to the good stuff. Let's talk about the tools. And believe me, there are a lot more proven, evidence-based tools in the toolbox than most people realize. The key word here is multimodal. That just means it's not about finding one magic bullet. It's about using a combination of things. We're talking about things like physical and occupational therapy to get you moving safely again, but also, and this is huge, things like mental health therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT is a big one, to literally change how your brain processes pain signals. Then you've got relaxation techniques, biofeedback, mindfulness, all tools designed to help you retrain your brain to regulate itself. And you know what's really a game changer? A lot of these therapies are now available digitally.
Seriously, we're seeing solid research that shows web-based programs, smartphone apps, even virtual reality can be incredibly effective. What that means for you is that you can access this toolkit from your own home. That is a massive, massive step forward.
Okay, let's have a straight talk about what to expect. I am not going to sit here and promise you a miracle cure, because that's not how this works. If you look at the hard data like this big Cochrane review on CBT, it shows what they call a small benefit. Small benefits for pain, for disability, for distress. Now, that might not sound like much, but let me tell you, in the world of chronic pain, a small, real, consistent benefit, that's a huge win. That's progress. That's proof that you can turn that dial down, even if it's just one click at a time.
So, let's recap. We've got a broken healthcare system, we've got an oversensitive nervous system, and we've got a new toolbox full of strategies. So what's the missing piece that ties it all together? It's you. This is the moment you shift your mindset. You stop being a passive patient and you become the general contractor of your own health project.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Look, doctors can advise you, therapists can give you tools, but at the end of the day, you're the one living in your body 24/7, no one else. So you have to be the one to take charge. You are the boss. You're the one running this whole operation. So what does that actually look like? What's the plan? Here it is, your blueprint for action. Step 1, assemble your team. That means you get your specialists talking to each other, even if you have to be the one connecting the dots. Step 2, explore your toolkit. Try different things, see what works for you. Step 3, become the world's #1 expert on you. Track everything, what makes it worse, what makes it better. And finally, step 4, lead the project. You take all that data you've gathered and you go to your team and you tell them what you need. You're in the driver's seat. So let's end on this. That phrase, "there's nothing more we can do," it was never really about a dead end. It was an invitation for you to step up and take the lead. You now have a framework, you have the science, you have a list of tools to explore. You are officially in charge of the blueprint for your own life. So the only real question left is, what's your first step?